I think when putting a team together, it's very important to have those EDI considerations. Historically, when we think about how we create teams, we didn't incorporate a lot of that kind of consideration, and that left teams very homogenous.
One of the benefits as a scientist is innovation. So, I sort of joke, but if I was in a room with like 10 of me, we would all be thinking the same. Like when asked a question, we would take the same sort of assumptions. We would, it wouldn't innovate the same way as people who come in with completely different ideas, and then they challenge each other in a positive way, and they just bring up things that one might not have thought of themselves.
And so we want to make sure that we have as many perspectives and voices on a team as we can get.
Traditionally, in academia, there has been this element of alienation in terms of perspectives that people bring into research projects, right? And the outcome of that is that the projects that we are producing many times, they tend to have the same perspective, the same approach. And of course, it doesn't mean that those projects are useless or that they are not relevant. It means that they are serving very specific purposes, right? And of course, that they might be serving very specific populations.
When I plan, I'm one of those very risk-averse of people. I'm like trying to think of every possible problem that I can run into. And having a diverse team just means that happens even more naturally. Without me having to go down the road of, oh, what about this? What about this? As the planning happens, as the discussion happens, someone will just go, oh, yeah, let's not forget about this. And it's like, oh, yeah, no problem. We'll make sure we cover that off. So I think for me, I've just found it easier to be prepared for whatever project that we were working on when there were people bringing all kinds of different opinions and viewpoints to the project.
First of all, there's a gender piece, which is very important. And when you have people from those cultural gender roles, they will enrich the team in terms of how the team works, the dynamic in the team, the respect that happens in the team, the ideas that happen in the team. Also, when you have people from different educational background, a different cultural, historical background, what they bring into the team, there's awareness. All of a sudden, there is a sense of awareness of that other in the room. I cannot take things for granted that whatever I say apply to everybody. It's almost like a daily quality assurance of whatever we're doing.
I look at it from the concept of Ubuntu. There's an African philosophy called Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. My view of EDI is that it's just a way to connect with the whole of humanity, really, and lifts everybody up. From the research lens, it simply means that we need to do a better job in, bringing in those who are underrepresented in research to kind of come up with meaningful outcomes that are real-world outcomes that will make real-life impact for people, especially those who have been underrepresented in research.
I'm an autistic researcher. I'm autistic, I have ADHD, I've got a host of other things. When I became a prof, I realized that I had the power to elevate the people who are sitting on the margins, the people who should have been given the opportunities, but because for whatever reason, their communication styles are different or the color of the skin is different or whatever it is, they're not given that opportunity. And so what I've done is I've intentionally recruited individuals on the margins and I've integrated them throughout everything that I do. So I have autistic community partners. And then even within my autistic community partners, I make sure to intentionally recruit people who come from have intersectional identities. So for example, I have autistic community partners who might be autistic, Indigenous, they might also identify as LGBTQ. And because I'm not Indigenous or LGBTQ, these autistic community partners bring valued expertise and valued knowledge that I could never have access to. And so by intentionally recruiting and integrating individuals throughout my research program, I'm improving my research. I'm ensuring that my research is aligned to the needs of the community. And I'm elevating those individuals by giving them the opportunities that they should have always been given to begin with.
Once you have your team, if you want to have deep and good collaboration, I think one of the most important things is to develop trust. And that takes time. It takes work. It takes effort. As a team leader, you need to ensure that when you engage with your team, when you engage with the people there, that there's that trust developed through things like exercises that you do together, work you do together, conversations that you have where people are able to feel authentic, where people are able to feel comfortable sharing things that maybe aren't going to be what everybody wants to hear all the time.
I work really, really hard to build relationships between everyone. And I work really hard to know the different details among the members of my team so that I can basically share them in a way that I know will bring out information or make a connection. So like, I'm always very open about my challenges, always. I've always done that. And I think that creates this sense of safe space. This idea that if it's okay, if Heather's always talking about the things that she's done wrong or she's messed up, by being very open about the things that I struggle with, it seems to create a more safe space for the students and the other individuals in my world to also be more open and share their struggles.
We cannot just go ahead and just say, okay, we're going to build team through an equity, diversity, and inclusion lens and actually not train people into what does this mean. And I think part of team building, for having great team that can work together, is actually team building. It's not sufficient to just select a diverse group and then ask them to work together. There must be certain standard clearly made, some kind of professional development clearly stated and clearly followed that people adhere to. And there's this sense of engagement in what they're doing. So, this is what I'm doing. This is how I need to be careful about my role with regards to the other. I respect the people working with me because they are respecting me as well. And that comes from a training. That training is very important.
I'm still learning how to do that, creating deep collaborations. But one thing I think that is very important is being open communication. It helps you to build good relationships once you have open communication. What I often do is to set expectations early on. So even in recruiting students, I kind of ask for specific things. And once people that approach me meet those criteria, then I can begin to ask them for an interview and kind of identify exactly what the relationship will look like.
Being honest with ourselves is probably the most important thing that we can do in terms of integrating EDI in our daily lives, because if we recognize the knowledge that we have in relation to these concepts, or the lack of knowledge that we might have in relation to these concepts, then we can actually start working on the things that we need to be working on. For the University of Alberta, it's very important that each one of us, each researcher, each member of the community, each professor, each student even, right, the staff members as well, that we start thinking about EDI from a perspective that allows us to recognize the things that we need to learn about this. It's important for us to reach out and ask for the supports and the help that we need for us to understand how we can actually integrate EDI in research environments and in research projects, and that will help all of us.